motherfucking Z. Episode 40. Damn, we've been doing this almost a year now?
Mm-hmm.
That seems crazy. Seems crazy.
Snow on the ground when we started, and it's supposed to be snow on the ground tomorrow.
Well, 2Ks, let's jump off into some college football, man. The Big Ten was pretty legit yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty legit. You talk about some good games. It started out, I mean, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Ohio State just drubbed Maryland.
Yeah.
And we'll leave that side of the Ohio State talk for a little later in the show. But Justin Fields, that team rolls. I mean that's pretty much all you can say.
No, there's not an offense in college football that can compare to them. I mean, they are just, and they're doing it against legit defenses.
Yeah. And we had. I don't know. Yeah, it had to be with you when Maryland's fallen off the map.
Yeah.
They started out, just putting up 70 points a game, it seemed like. It's like, all right, is this hoops or football? And now, I mean, maybe their schedule was very easy in the beginning, and now once it gets into Big Ten play, it's like, all right, these are legit teams and defenses now, but to kind of tickle the fancy of some Michigan fans, Michigan, you beat Maryland, 38-7?
Yep.
And that was your offense getting on track and the team just solidifying. And Ohio State comes and just shits on them for 73. So that's kind of a good. I'm not saying it's a great litmus test.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to compare that. You got one team like Michigan who's more about ball control. They want to run time off the clock in their possessions and run the ball a lot. To where Ohio State's kind of. They got they can score and give them 6-7 seconds and they can score on it's a big play waiting to happen.
Well, that's Justin Fields in a nutshell.
Yeah, yep.
I mean he can flip a switch and turn any game into a video fucking game real quick.
And that's basically what it is. It's like watching him play Madden.
Yeah.
Just
toy with you. All right, fuck this. Let's go. Let's go. But I think the one that kind of caught a lot of people off guard, not me. It's Minnesota beating and upsetting the undefeated. Both teams were undefeated, but Penn State. That was a nail biter, 31-26. And before we dive into and give you our analysis, I got some stats here for you. And I know we're not a big stats show, but with a game like this, I think to do it justice, we do need to throw some stats at you. Penn State's quarterback, Sean Clifford, went 23 of 43 for 340 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks. I didn't get to watch a lot of this game, but the 3 picks are probably what killed Penn State. The running back, Journey Brown, had 14 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their wideout, KJ Hamler, 7 catches, 119 yards. And we're rolling the boat over to Minnesota. Tanner Morgan, the quarterback, went 18 for 20 for 339 yards. 3 touchdowns. Now, that's a fucking stat line. You have more touchdowns than incomplete passes. I'd say it's a good day at the office. And you can tell with their top running back, Rodney Smith, 18 carries for 51 yards. Their plan was aired out.
Yep.
And boy, did they ever. And Mr. Morgan's top wideout, Rashad Bateman, 7 catches for 203 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, huge game. It's just the bottom line is Minnesota didn't turn the ball over and Penn State did.
Yep.
And probably you play that game 5-6 times, Penn State's a better football team.
Yeah.
But on that day,
especially if that was played in Happy Valley.
Yeah, it could be a whole different story. But yesterday, Minnesota, they executed better. They didn't turn the football over, and that's why they won the game.
No, and they, for the part I did see it was they jumped out to a quick lead, didn't they?
Yep.
So I thought just running away, I'm like, wow, this isn't even going to be a fucking game. And then I kept getting alerts on my phone and like, ooh, man, this is getting close. This is getting close. This is getting close. So, granted, this game will affect the top four.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, LSU, Bama, one of them's going to fall out. If Penn State stays undefeated, they were at number 5. Common sense would say they'd slide up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it has big implications on that. And Minnesota's still sitting atop of their side of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Bama and LSU. Bama and LSU. Man, this game did not disappoint.
No.
Did not disappoint. The only person that did disappoint was Jay Stone. He was sending me text messages, and I will let me read them, and because it's actually quite funny. Where are we at? There it is. It says, "What a throw by Tua! It was an incomplete pass." This is what the commentators are saying, and I don't know. This is in quotes. I don't know a better deep ball thrower than Tua after an incomplete deep ball. So yeah, he was keeping me afloat on what was going on.
I mean, the better quarterback in that game is Burrow.
Yes.
He was the better quarterback. And right now, if the season was over today, Burrow would be the Heisman Trophy winner.
I also wrote down his stat line and Tua's line just to kind of compare the two. Burrow went 31 of 39, 393, and 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad day at the office either.
No.
And then you got Tua going 21 of 40, which, with the score being what it was, I'm not shocked that either one of these quarterbacks threw 40 times. I'm not even shocked. He went 418, 4 touchdowns, and pick. Not nearly as efficient as Mr. Burrow, but how much of that is I'm sure he started the game out kind of seeing what that ankle will do, because if I was in his situation, I'd do that too. And maybe it was a little gun shy, not sure how his mechanics would work, and then obviously he settled in quite well. But yeah, that and if you haven't watched on YouTube, look it up. The post game with Coach Orgeron. Yeah. It's hard enough to understand what the hell is coming out of that man's mouth. And then he gets emotional and starts babbling. So God knows what the fuck he's talking about. But it's one of those surreal scenes in sports that you really don't. We put these players and coaches almost like as godlike creatures when they're actually just human. And for someone to show that kind of emotion, because you bust your ass to do it. If you look back, he really wasn't even supposed to be the coach at LSU. No one really wanted him there, and he took the big Cajun fuck you and shoved it right in their ass. And they're probably the only team that can even hang with Ohio State right now. And I have a very good feeling if you put Bama and Ohio State on a neutral field right now, I'm taking Ohio State at least 14 points.
I agree.
And that's not taking anything away from Saban and his offense. But Ohio State's defense is that much better. I think getting back to your point in the defense that Ohio State faces, I think their own in practice is about the only one that can give them any competition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with that being said, I mean, it was a great game. Like I said, I didn't disappoint at all.
Oh, no. 46-41. I mean, I don't even remember the last time ever seeing, Alabama give up 40-some points. And same thing can be said for LSU. I don't remember the last time seeing LSU give up 40-some points.
Yeah. Well,
when you think of those two football teams, you're thinking of a game in the low 20s.
Well, a few years ago, it was 9-6.
Yeah.
And with both of these offenses, you knew damn well we're not going to be looking at a 9-6 game yesterday.
Well, you got two of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yep, and I want to say the over-under was set at 75. So you took the over, you made some money. You made some money. Michigan State laid a fucking egg yesterday.
Yeah.
Biggest blown lead, I think, in Big Ten history or some shit. Even though Michigan State, the brass are saying D'Antoni's fine, there's no pressure, he's not going to be fired. What happens if Michigan goes in and just drubs the shit out of him? How hot does that seem?
Oh, people that are saying that D'Antonio is fine are completely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You know, who's to say that they're not going to be the team that's going to jump on the Fleck train? Because Fleck might see that as an opportunity to be like, hey, we're not the powerhouse of the Big Ten, but look what D'Antonio did in his first few seasons at Michigan State when he eventually turned. They won the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You know, so Fleck might see that as, hey, this is my opportunity to take a team that might be kind of mediocre in the Big Ten, and I can do back D'Antonio did when he first got to Michigan State, and when he had Narduzzi, who's at Pitt now as the defensive coordinator.
I think you hit the key name right there. That team hasn't been the same since Narduzzi left. No. But could I see if the Michigan that showed up against Notre Dame takes that game to Michigan State, you might see a very similar score.
You got it. I mean, and me being a Michigan fan, I think that the Michigan State rivalry. I mean, the history of the Michigan and Ohio State rivalry is I think it's overrated now. I don't even. I guess myself, I don't even really call it that much of a rivalry because the rivalry has to be two-sided. Ways. Yes. Yeah. To where Ohio State wins every year. So it's until Michigan can get back on that level and win a couple of those games. I consider more of the Michigan State game to be the biggest rivalry of the season. And I think
some of the weirdest shit always happens in those games.
I think that between Michigan and Michigan State, there's an actual hate. I think Michigan hates Michigan State. I think Michigan State hates
the whole big brother, little brother.
I think the Michigan Ohio State. I think there's the history of the rivalry, but I think there's respect there. There's no respect between Michigan and Michigan State. So I think Michigan State's down. They're down. It wouldn't shock me if they played their best game of the season against Michigan because that's just what they always do.
That's what happens.
But to me, I want Michigan to just destroy them, and I hope that Harbaugh just keeps the foot on the pedal and just make them look stupid.
Thursday, story comes out that my Heisman pick, Chase Young, is being suspended. And then you get James Wiseman. If you don't know who James Wiseman is, he was the number one freshman recruit from Penny Hardaway's program down there in Memphis. And if you did happen to watch the game against whoever the fuck they were playing, they told the story about 25 times each quarter. So everyone was well aware. So if you're living under a rock, Chase Young, this was before he was even at Ohio State, took or maybe his freshman year, I can't remember what the story was. A family friend loaned him some money. The loan has since been paid back. NCAA deems that improper benefits. You switch to Mr. Wiseman's case. This one gets a little bit more convoluted, but also a little bit more ridiculous. You might be saying to yourself, why is the number one freshman going to Memphis? Well, this kid was coached in high school by Penny Hardaway before he got the job at Memphis. And for those that don't know, I'll go even further. That's Penny Hardaway's. That's where he played. Jerseys in the rafters, and while Hardaway was coaching Wiseman in high school, he helped his parents financially move closer to the school. Hold on, I'm getting to where this gets really stupid. And this was like 2016, I believe. And in 2008, Penny Hardaway donated money to the University of Memphis. He wasn't coaching there. He just donated some money. Be a good alum. Well, because he donated money, that deemed him a booster. So when he was helping the Wisemans move financially, that was receiving money from a booster. Can we all take about 5 big motherfucking steps back and just realize how ridiculous both of these are? Now, the news came out on Thursday. Thursday was ESPN was going to be at Memphis's game, showcasing this kid. I want to say it was 37 minutes after he was deemed ineligible. They had a court ruling for to say he could play while all of this is being restraining orders, what they called it. Temporary, of course, but can we just stop? The NCAA is the biggest, douchiest. Granted, I understand there needs to be regulations, otherwise shit's just going to run wild. And when Christian and I touched on last week the new rule coming out in 2021 where they can make money off their likeness. Yeah, there does need to be some regulations and rules in place. Otherwise, you're going to see kids having agents as a freshman in high school, and I think that's where a lot of that's going to lead. But that's why they came out and said, yes, we're going to do this, but we don't have the firm guidelines in place. I get that. But calm the fuck down. I mean, now we're getting so just nickel and dimey. Oh, Bears are up 7-6, by the way. And you had I'll give you the floor so you can kind of express your thoughts, because I think it's dumb as shit.
Well, I think the Memphis situation and Penny Hardaway, that one to me is a joke, because it goes back so many years to when this kid he was in middle school at the time. Yeah. When all this is going down. So that I don't even care about it. I just think it's stupid. Yep. Now, the Chase Young situation in Ohio State, that just seems really fishy to me. You get a loan when you're a freshman at Ohio State, and then it's been paid back, and it was a family friend, but if this family friend happened to be right in Ohio, there's just a lot of it's typical. If there was never really any shade under Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer's recruiting and Urban Meyer's players, and take it one step further to Ohio State as a whole, Ohio State's players. If there wasn't that shade, then I would be like, okay, it's a one-time thing, it's a mistake, and whatever. No, this is becoming every single year with Ohio State, every single year with the Urban Meyer program, because Urban Meyer's not the coach there now, but he was the coach there when all this happened.
He's the one that got Chase Young there.
And Urban Meyer, I know it went down last season as Urban Meyer was sick, and Urban Meyer had what he had, a tumor in his brain or something like that, and that was the reason why he stepped down. No, he stepped down as the coach at Ohio State because he was in a lot of fucking trouble, and this shit's gonna surface, and I don't think all of this has surfaced yet, and it's gonna. Nope. I think more is just gonna keep getting flushed out as these seasons go on, and so it's just there's. I hear a lot of people kind of taking this to a whole different subject, but a lot of people that I know that are Notre Dame fans, and they're like, well, this Brian Kelly is not working out at Notre Dame, and it's time to get rid of him, and we want Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer said back before he took the Ohio State job that he was interested in the Notre Dame job. Notre Dame ain't gonna hire Urban Meyer. Not
with what's going on. You're right. It seems.
Do fans love it? I mean, as a fan of Michigan, I would be like, fuck yeah, bring Urban Meyer, and I want Michigan to win. But they're not going to do it. You're talking about billion-dollar universities. You think they're going to take the risk and take the shade that Urban Meyer has put on when Urban Meyer in Florida, look at all the shade that they had there, all the shade that they had after he left, and he goes to Ohio State and does the same thing again. Urban Meyer's a great football coach. He's maybe the greatest recruiter that college football's ever had, and
he didn't have to climb trees or anything for it.
But when it's just one thing after another every single year, schools like Notre Dame and schools like Michigan, they're not going to allow that to come. That's not going to be allowed. So,
what are your thoughts on the timing of it coming out right now? Right after Ohio State's.
What gets me is
number one team in the nation.
Yes,
on Tuesday, and then Thursday this happens.
It all waited until after the initial playoff, ranking first came out, and then it comes out, and then he's going to be out for 4 games, but they're appealing it, and it could have turned into 3 games, which makes it perfect because then he'll come back for the Michigan game, and it comes out before they play against Maryland and Rutgers, so it's like there's just a lot of shadiness to it, and just Ohio State's program as a whole, they are a very good football team, and right now, I think they're the best football team in the country. Them and LSU, I think, are the 2 top teams.
I think they're still number 1 with or without Chase Young.
Absolutely, but if this all comes out now, and what I don't understand, I guess, about it all is if this all comes out now and he's ineligible to play for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 games, what about the first 8 games of the season that he was on the field for? Mm-hmm. Why are those games? Why do those games still count?
Yep.
That's what I don't. That's if I'm an opponent and I'm on the outside and I'm playing against them, that's my question. Why are they the number 1 team in the country?
It's a very valid question. Very valid question.